All right. We have a lot to get through. So, salut tout le monde. J'espère que vous allez bien. Pour tous ceux et celles qui ne me connaissent pas, je m'appelle Stéphanie Plante, je suis la conseillère pour le district de Rideau-Vanier. Best word in the city. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. I just have a couple housekeeping things to get through before we start the presentation. So this is sort of a part 2 to a meeting we initially had in May 2023. We had solicited opinions from people about what they thought about OC Transpo in the downtown core, because as you know, what happens, say, for example, on Bank Street affects what's happening on Montreal Road. And we really wanted people to get a little bit ahead of the game of what was then known as the route review. So OC Transpo will present the changes to the bus routes that are relevant to Ward 12. And we are here to talk about the changes to routes. You can ask questions. I will get into that in a second. Now, if you have some general comments about OC Transpo in general, please try to keep them relevant to the route changes, although the staff are here to basically answer the questions you have. On va aussi mettre la présentation aujourd'hui sur mon site web. Alors, si vous avez manqué la présentation, s'il faut que vous quittez, n'hésitez pas, il va être disponible sous peu et on va aussi le mettre dans mon infolettre. La présentation aujourd'hui est bilingue. Elle est écrite elle est écrite sur les slides en français et en anglais, mais la présentation telle qu'elle va être en anglais. S'il y a quelqu'un qui a besoin de la traduction, s'il vous plaît, juste faites une note. Et je vais faire mon mieux pour assurer qu'il y a de la traduction en français et en anglais. Maintenant, I just want to distinguish quickly, we have a Q&A and we have a chat. So the chat is disabled and we still do have the Q&A. So we will be taking questions in the Q&A. So I will be going through the Q&A, and OC Transpo staff who are here with us tonight and are going to introduce themselves shortly will be going through that, the Q&A to answer your questions. They're not going to be answered when we are doing the slides, but we will do them at the end. Et dernièrement aussi, j'aimerais aussi remercier Karina et Sarah-Anne de mon bureau qui sont là ce soir. Vous avez peut-être appelé mon bureau, vous avez parlé avec Sarah-Anne, vous avez envoyé un message, vous avez parlé avec Karina. Elles sont aussi ce soir pour m'appuyer dans la présentation qu'on va faire aujourd'hui. So, without further ado, I will pass it off to OC Transpo. And Pat and Erica, can you please also introduce yourselves so everybody can get to know who you are, and do remind them that this is the presentation about the best ward in the city. Just wanted to put that out there. So, merci beaucoup tout le monde. Je vais me mettre sur mute et je vais garder un œil sur les questions et réponses. Ciao.
Hi, I'll introduce myself first. I'm Erica Springate. I'm the program manager of operational planning at OC Transpo. And I agree, it's a great ward. I used to live there myself. Unfortunately, moved when I was looking to buy a house, so I was hoping to stay in the area. And hopefully a lot of positive changes coming to the ward. It's a lot of new connections.
My name is Louise Osborne, and I'm a coordinator with our outreach department. And I'll be here supporting Erica. And if I need to respond to you question-wise, I'm here as well. Okay, thank you.
So I've just shared my screen, and hopefully everyone can see it. So we're going through, of course, the new ways to bus. It has gone through a couple different titles. So, back last year when part 1 of this meeting was taking place, it was called something different. We've rebranded it as New Ways to Bus. So this did start last year. Largely it came out of COVID. Of course, we saw a lot of changes to our ridership, just how people were traveling, when they were traveling, where they were traveling to, and the number of people traveling. So we started looking at potential changes to the network. The campaign, as I said, is now called New Ways to Bus. We launched it to the public, sort of to say what we're going to do just last month. So the information is on the OC Transpo website. You can see a map and some just bullet points of what is changing. When the changes will actually hit the street, it's expected to be later this year, either with the launch of O Trains Line 2 and 4 or shortly afterwards. Those timelines still have to be firmed up. So just the timeline, new ways to us. Let's just move my screen around, sorry. So the project was initiated last year, beginning of last year, as I mentioned. We went out, we got a bunch of public feedback. We had some open houses, we spoke with counselors. We collected information through our website. We're always normally we always collect information. There are regular channels, people can write it or call in. So we looked at some of the feedback that we've just been getting over time as well. And then we looked at all that data. We also worked with a consultant who helped to develop some of the changes. Staff went over what the consultant did and we refined it as well. It was a bit iterative also. As we were making changes to the network, we were getting some feedback and making additional changes based on that. And then towards the end of last year, the start of this year, we started finalizing all those details, looking at, are we operating on new streets? Do we have new turning movements? What changes to schedules do we need? So that work is still ongoing right now. All the work is with our scheduling department. They're inputting into our scheduling software and coming up with the final schedules that will go out to the public. And we're also in the phase where we're now trying to get the word out of what changes are coming down the line. So as I mentioned, all the info is now on our website on octranspo.com. So as I mentioned, data has been collected from a number of different sources. Those open houses we had, counselor feedback. We also collect ridership data. We look at the ridership on all the routes on a trip-by-trip basis and see where our busy routes are, which routes are maybe a little less popular. We collect information from our transit operations staff, from our bus operators, different community groups and stakeholders. So that all feeds into the changes. And we also work under a number of policies that we have that have been set by council. And of course, there's an annual budget process that we have to follow every year too. So that all together has contributed to the changes to the network and the service levels and schedules. And as I mentioned, the final details are just being put into place now and developing those final schedules. So expected outcomes of this. The primary goal, as I mentioned, it first started with COVID and the change in patterns that we've seen. In addition to that, of course, we have lines 2 and 4 that are opening. So a lot of the changes were planned around that as well. And with a future towards the extension of the Confederation line to the east and to the west. And we also looked at trying to maximize the benefits provided by the increased capacity and reliability that the O train network offers over the bus network that is, of course, can get stuck into traffic and different interlining issues. And we're hoping that the expectation is this new bus network will improve intra-community connections, making it easier for customers to travel to and from destinations within their communities. Of course, with COVID, we've seen those changes where before a lot of the network was really focused on getting people into the downtown in AM peak and then out of the downtown in the PM peak. Now we're seeing more changes where people are traveling off peak weekends, midday evenings, and not everyone is as focused downtown. They're also trying to make additional connections within their communities as well. With this, we're also looking at scheduling improvements with the new ways to bus, with the goal of improving route runtime across the network and improving service reliability for customers across the network. So we are adding runtime into routes. We've been putting more and more emphasis on looking at which routes and which trips have some runtime issues and injecting some additional runtime in there. Of course, We're not expecting this to be absolutely perfect. Even if you're driving, you'll see day-to-day some variability in your runtime, and that's hard to capture in a bus schedule. But if we see consistent patterns that this route or this trip needs additional time, we've been working to insert that additional time into the schedules to improve reliability of the network. And as the counselor alluded to before, if one trip is running behind, that has impacts across the network. So this should help with that as well. We do interline our buses. So what that means is if, say, a bus is running a Route 12 trip, it's heading into downtown Toronto, it might turn around and run back as another Route 12 trip going out to the neighborhood. Or if our scheduling software looks and see, oh, it's more efficient if now you turn into a Route 6 trip starting from Parliament, then that might happen instead. And so then you can see if that Route 12 trip was running behind coming across Montreal Road Corridor, now that Route 6 trip starts late going down Bank Street. So improving runtime on one route can have improvements sort to other routes across the network too. And then specific changes that we're seeing in Ward 12. This is just this. So this is the new network map, the new ways to bus map that we have up on the OC Transpo website. Route 7, the service along Brittany is being replaced by new Route 17 and Route 20. So Route 7 will just run up and down St. Laurent Boulevard without doing that Brittany loop. We're seeing a number of improved connections to downtown. A number of routes will have extensions sort of through the downtown. So Route 12 will be extended to go out to Tunney's Pasture Station. I couldn't quite capture it on the map, so it'll continue along from Lyon, it'll continue along Albert and Scott Street into Tunney's Pasture Station. Route 20 will be extended from the Beechwood area to Rideau Street, improving that connection there. And then new Route 17 will operate from Waterridge to Parliament Station along the Montreal and Rideau corridors. We're saying new Route 17 is sort of a reinstatement. Route 17 existed prior to COVID, and during COVID it was taken away. So that's now coming back, and with coming into Parliament Station. Route 15, Route 15 also in the downtown. It's changing to end at Parliament Station, so it won't go over the bridge anymore into Gatineau. Your best bet if you're taking Route 15 to Gatineau now is likely to take Route 12 instead, connect to STO service at Lyon Station, and then continue over into Gatineau. Route 9 will be changing along the Sussex corridor. Today it operates along Briere, and instead it'll continue along Sussex to Murray and come across. That's to streamline service a little bit and help make it a bit more reliable and consistent. And then Route 16, the circle's a little misleading. It's hard to kind of capture this in one circle because I'd be circling the whole thing. But Route 16 will be replaced. Route 16 won't exist anymore. It'll be replaced by extensions on Route 12 and Route 10. So the western portion of Route 16 will be replaced by that extension on Route 12 going to Tunney's, and some trips will continue into Westboro Station. And then Route 10 will be extended from Lyon Station to St. Paul University. So you can see it operating here through that portion of 16 to Sandy Hill and continuing on past Lees and to St. Paul's. So those are the main changes that are affecting Ward 12. Of course, many additional routes are changing. And then just to summarize the new ways to bus, this network is expected to improve the way that customers bus in Ottawa. Feedback, a lot of feedback has gone into this plan. We'll continue to collect feedback. The plan is set now, but you know, we always have the ability, as service is introduced, to make some tweaks based on the feedback that we continue to hear. Schedules at OC Transpo is strongly linked to policy direction. Of course, we work from council direction and budgetary limitations. And schedules and service reliability are expected to improve with the new network. And Councillor, that's the end of my presentation.
Merci beaucoup, Erica. Si ça va avec tout le monde, je vais juste passer directement aux questions. J'en ai déjà répondu une de Peter Stockdale. Hi, Peter. C'était comme genre question, commentaire. Je vais le lire. Could transport staff, especially planners and counselors, and their staff be given transport passes as part of their jobs? I saw Vera Etches on the 12 this morning, no maths, but I've only seen Diane Holmes on OC Transpo. I have only ever seen for photo ops. When the service was run for 9 to 5 employees, it ran well and it was well resourced, even if the planners didn't understand mobility impaired rider needs. With COVID, the LRT fiasco, ridership ceased to be for those most influential 9 to 5 citizens, and resourcing fell down. The 6, 7, 12, and 15 are now very full at peak now. This is where Councillor Plante could make a difference, influencing her colleagues to use the system. So just to clarify, Peter, I do use the system. I also use LRT, and I'm also an avid biker. I do have a car, but I hate using it. It just drives me nuts. But yes, I do agree with you that it would be awesome if councillors took the OC Transport and the, I mean, both the bus and the LRT more often. You know, we use it a lot. I live near Ottawa. I can see the students use it a lot. Erica, I don't know if you have any data on the student population, but, you know, it's through your advocacy that things will get better. And thank you for being here. So, okay. Erica, did you have anything you wanted to add to that? No, it's up to you.
If you look at, so students do make up a significant portion of our ridership. Yeah, I mean, we value obviously the students, and we think it's great because always the expectation is if we can get students riding transit, you know, once they get jobs and enter the workforce, they'll continue to use OC Transpo.
Yeah, I noticed
if we wanted to get some number, we have some.
Oh no, go ahead. I interrupted you. Go ahead.
Oh no, sorry, no, that was it. I'd have to come back to you with numbers at a later time.
Okay. Yeah, no, I do think the passes that you give the high school students are a great idea. Like, I can't not tell you how, you know, much my son and his friends will just be really spontaneous and go, oh, let's jump on this, let's jump on that. So it's a great system.
And they have to, I mean, we can't take credit for that. The passes are they're purchased by the school transportation boards for students who sort of fit their criteria.
Sorry to interrupt, Councillor Plant, while you are reading through the questions, Erica, could you just go back to the slide that has the map so that we can look at the slide that has the map while we're going through the questions? Thank you. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
All right, so Dominic Santos. Hi, Dominic. Hi there. I apologize for this being a non-ward related question. Kick him out. No, I'm just kidding. I haven't been able to get a response after emailing the new waste bus email. Route 73 Leakin is showing on the map that it won't be passing 73 Leakin Drive. Is this a mistake? There could be a simple routing down Beckstead. Where are you? To ensure bus still goes by the namesake of the route. This is not my end of the world, so I'm going to leave it to staff here to answer this. Did anybody want to answer that? Am I?
Oh, sorry, I'm talking here. I'm mute.
Go ahead.
I apologize. Different staff have sort of worked in different areas, and I'll have to get back to you with what's happening with service on Lycan, but that's something we can follow up with.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I'm just not familiar with this area, so I can't speak on it. Okay, prochaine question, Nick Grover. Hi, Nick. Oh, hold on my thing. This is a two-parter about the extensions. Running routes over significantly longer distances without additional buses will reduce frequency already a top issue for riders. I agree. Will existing frequency be maintained, improved, or reduced? And major routes are already late 40% of the time, usually stuck in traffic along major roads. Extending routes exposes them to more traffic and choke points along the city. Will you be implementing priority bus lanes along these routes so you can bypass traffic, making them faster, more reliable? This is the $1 million question. Not that I have $1 million, but go ahead, Erica, I'll let you answer.
So strict extending routes, if you're not adding additional buses to that route, then you would have to sort of water down the frequency to be able to maintain the same number of resources. With this, we're largely, as I mentioned, schedules are still kind of finalized, but largely we're maintaining existing frequency on the routes that I've talked about here. So we're just adding additional resources to those routes to accommodate the extensions. And then it's true, extending, the longer a route is, the more opportunity it has to get stuck in traffic. So you can see reliability of a route be impacted by the length of a route. That we are addressing that by adding in the runtime. So as I mentioned, it's sort of looking at what those trends are and where the runtime is needed to help. That's being looked at for routes. In terms of, are we adding bus lanes? So that's, in some areas we're adding bus lanes. For these particular routes, bus lanes aren't being added. It's for any space on the roadway, you have to sort of accommodate regular vehicles, buses, pedestrians, cyclists. So unfortunately, we find that we just don't always have that space to add the bus lanes. And that's not just an OC Transpo directive, that's, you know, the broader city departments get together and it's allocated kind of how that roadway width is used. So not just an OC Transpo question, but rather it's a whole kind of city level goes into deciding where those bus lanes are added. But we always do look at if there's really a choke point. We work with, you know, the traffic department to see, is there something that can be done with the signals to give OC Transpo a bit more priority? Can we, in a couple places, you can see we have queue jump lanes where we might be able to get past a certain signal faster. Can we remove some parking that might be causing a bottleneck for OC Transpo? So those conversations are always taking place, and we do see some improvements that get put in as well. But unfortunately for this, we don't have any new bus lanes.
Thank you, Erica. That's great. And if ever you need me to push anything at council, whether it is to make priority lanes, you know, especially during rush hour, I'm happy to put those kinds of things forward because I do think they will make the difference. There's nothing more annoying than, you know, being stuck in the public transit in traffic when the goal of the public transit is to avoid traffic. So completely agree. Thank you for the question, Nick. Okay, Peter. Hey, Peter. Okay, can transfer be issues for getting on STO like they used to, or can STO be modified to use Presto? Go ahead, Erica.
It was my, and I might be wrong, because it was my understanding that transfers could still be issued to use STO. STO, I know they don't use Presto. So that's, I'll follow up just to confirm if if that's not the case, like if you've been told you can't get a transfer to use STO, let me follow up just to see then what that process is. It was my understanding that that was still being done.
Yeah.
Just to touch base on the topic of going to Gatineau and Hall, now that the 15 in Gatineau and Hall is not going all the way to Terrasse de la Chaudière, it ends at Lyons, if I understand properly. Does it mean that in order to get to Gatineau or Hall, going on STO would be mandatory. Sorry, I know it's a question. I just thought it was kind of like tackling the topic of users if they want to get to Quebec. Can they still take OC Transpo? Is there still a route that will get them there, or do they absolutely have to end up on STO?
There'll still be a route from Tunney's that will go over. From Lyon, it would be STO.
Okay, thank you.
OK, prochainement. Monique, tu voulais poser ta question à voix haute? Je te laisse unmuter là si tu veux poser ta question.
Sorry, can we just do Sarah Hollier's question before we go to Monique?
Absolutely. Oh, sorry, Sarah, I scrolled down too much. I apologize. That was my fault, Sarah. Looks like the 18 is also extended on Elgin Street. Elgin Street, where's that? Down to City Hall, where it used to turn on Queen Street. Would be a great addition to the bus 14 route. Erica, did you want to comment?
Yes, so the 18 is getting extended down to Billings Bridge. And sorry, what was the second part of the question? Instead of to also have the 14 go?
She said it used to turn down Queen Street, would be a great addition to the bus 14 route. It said, looks like the 18 is also extended on Elgin Street down to City Hall, where it used to turn on Queen Street, ?
On Elgin,
would be a great addition to the busy 14 route.
Just along the Elgin corridor. Yeah, so the 18 will be running along the Elgin corridor. So you'll have the 14, the 8, and the 18 and the 5 operating along there. Mm-hmm.
Magnifique. OK, Monique, c'est ton tour. Je te laisse parler si tu veux te unmuter là, puis poser ta question.
OK, merci. I just wanted to know, I take the 14 to Saint Laurent or the 19, whichever one comes first, but the 19 is faster. I have, like, the 19 Saint Laurent. Once you get to Francis and Queen Mary, there's absolutely no stops on Queen Mary until you get to Bernard, which is 1 block away from Saint Laurent. Like, there's all kinds of prospective clients on that street. And coming back from Saint Laurent to and towards MacArthur, when it goes down Donald, there's no stop between Saint Laurent and the high school. Anyway, and again, in those blocks between Saint Laurent to the technical high school, there's hundreds of prospective clients. And there's very few stops on Donald also. Like, I mean, I counted once from one stop to another once, I counted 6 blocks between the stops. So that's not very accessible to people. You want people to use Transpo. Well, make it accessible to them. And if I can just add something else about the 12, when they put the 12 back, they distance the stops also. I used to be able to get it in front of the funeral parlor. Now I have to get it in front of Shoppers or in front of LCBO. Like, the stops have been really, really distanced.
Yeah, so I'll answer with Queen Mary and Donald. I can bring that back to our team that looks after adding in bus stops. I can just provide us some background information. We are sometimes limited, especially sort of neighborhood streets where it's a lot of driveways. There's not a lot of sort of frontage for us to stop a bus. We do try to avoid, sometimes it's inevitable, so we do try to avoid putting a stop in someone's like front yard, on sort of on their driveway or right in their front yard. Roadway geometry, sort of if there are obstacles next to the road, like hydro pole.
Yeah, excuse me for interrupting. I used to live on the corner of Bernard and Queen Mary.
And that can make it
in those days it was called the 52. I'm talking about a long time ago. And there was actually a bus going down Queen Mary, because that's the bus I would take to go to work and my daughter would take to go to school. We'd go all the way, we'd go most of the way down Queen Mary Street. So there were stops galore in those days. I'm talking like 40 years ago.
Yeah. Team and see if additional stuff. I mean, what you're describing is beyond, it sounds like it's beyond our typical stop spacing. So we do work within limitations, but I'll bring it back and see if
Yeah, you're cutting out.
there's something that can be done to add additional, remove a stop if we get a lot of complaints and it's on someone's front lawn and they're, it's causing them a lot of headache. Occasionally we'll take a stop out. But maybe there's something that can be done. So we'll take a look at it with some fresh eyes and see if there's something that we can do to add it.
I would suggest that maybe someone get on the 19 and actually ride the 19 down Queen Mary and down Donald Street to see what it's like and if there's a possibility, because I doubt that anybody's ever got down on the 19 and driven around on the 19 and see what the stops are. That's the problem with OC Transpo.
I used to take the 19 into work. They used to be the 19 or the 18. I could take either one. So I would.
Which way are you going and where are you going?
Heading into Saint Laurent, I would take it.
Yeah. Okay.
Monique, thank you for your questions.
That's why I'm
so
sorry.
we're gonna have to move on now. Did you get an answer to your question?
Designing routes, but they don't drive. They ride the bus.
Okay. Sorry.
I just wanted to say also, Erica, your sound has been cutting out a little bit. So I just wanted to acknowledge, just in case anyone's wondering why they can't hear Erica, it has been cutting out just a tiny bit. So I just wanted to make sure, Monique, that you got an answer to your question, and then we're gonna have to move on to the next question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you mind if
Okay.
Thank you.
maybe I'll stop sharing my video. I'm just
Sure.
Perfect.
wondering if it will help a bit with my internet and sound.
Okay, Ellen, sorry, she just lost here. Ellen, how will these changes be communicated to the wider public and implemented across applications like Bus Buddy and Transit? Excellent question.
So we have all the information's up on our OC Transpo website. I know they've made a blog about it too to give it more background information. We also often counselors will help to share the information out as well. I'm not Louise, if you have any more information, feel free to jump in. I'm not sure if in the past we have done mailouts. I'm not sure if that's within the budget this go round or not.
Yeah, I know we're not doing mailouts. We are going to have shortly, the councillors are going to be informed actually in the next couple of days. We are going to be doing a community bus, New Ways to Bus campaign. We're going out into the communities throughout all of the wards, key locations, with the big New Ways to Bus community bus. We will have staff there. We will have information on the routes in those areas that are changing. We can answer your questions, respond to anything you want. It will be over probably like a 3-hour period from like 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. It could be weekdays, it could be weekends. We're in the process right now of doing that. And so we're going to blitz the entire city, and we will be speaking specifically with the councillor to see if there's any locations that she feels would be great for an event like this. So that's one of the ways we're doing it. It's also going to be social media, Instagram, websites, customer service will be giving out that information. We're going to try everything as broadly as we can. And if you have any other ideas that you feel would be more beneficial, please let me know, let the councillor know, and we will get that to staff.
Merci beaucoup. Dominique, I believe we talked about this already, but it says to improve timelines and routes that use Rideau, and by the way, the ones that are on Rideau also go to Montreal Road and Bank Street and Wellington. Have options been explored to improve the bus lanes, as they're often clogged by cars, painted red bus lanes, enforcement extending lanes all the way along Rideau 24/7 lanes? I don't want to answer on behalf of OC Transpo, but I'm totally willing, happy to put anything forward that makes bus exclusive lanes, especially on heure de pointe, so rush hour, sorry. So yeah, I don't know, OC Transpo, do you have an answer?
No, I mean, so it's also, it's balancing sort of on the street parking. It's also in demand through the downtown core. So it's again just a conversation I can take back to see does the city want to open up additional conversations.
Perfect. Okay, anonymous. I'm wondering why the 19 was not considered for route revision and or increased frequency. I take it regularly and find it often gets significantly delayed because the route winds through Vanier in a non-very direct route. Take it away, OC Transpo.
So frequency is based on ridership. Pre-COVID, the 19 and peak periods had some additional frequency, and then just with ridership numbers declining, it was one of many, many routes across the system that did see frequency, some frequency removed. Just it wasn't required, and just because of budget constraints, we schedule frequency largely based on demand. So that's, we monitor ridership every month to see how our routes are doing. And, at the trip level to see if based on capacity, we need to add additional ridership. So we continue to monitor that. And if, as ridership increases, the frequency will be restored. And Route 19, it had the extension to train yards during COVID. Reasons why it didn't change is because we already did a change that we'd been wanting to do a long time during the COVID period. And it provides some important service coverage through Vanier. Another reason why it didn't get adjusted.
Perfect, merci beaucoup. Monique, si ça va, on va passer aux autres questions. Puis si on a du temps à la fin, on peut, parce que c'est encore la même question sur le 19. Alors, je vais aller à la prochaine question, puis ensuite je reviens te voir. So, have transit priority measures been considered along King Edward, Mackenzie, King Bridge, or Queen Street? The 16 section that will become Route 10 gets extremely caught up in traffic. If I take the earlier bus, my trip is only 10 minutes and increases as high as 40 minutes during rush hour traffic. Ooh, I could walk faster than that. It is essential that car traffic be separated by buses. Adding transit priority also plays a huge role in reducing travel time and getting more people out of cars, which we love. Okay, vas-y, OC Transpo.
So along Queen Street, when Queen Street was designed with LRT, that was a conversation that was had about some additional priority, and it was, it came down to those sharing the roadways with, multiple forms of transportation and it's you're downtown, the streets aren't that wide, and unfortunately it couldn't be done to add priority for OC Transpo. Along that stretch of King Edward, I'm not sure. I'd have to get back. I'm not sure if some signal adjustments have probably been done along there. As far as I know, there's nothing in the works for that stretch right now. And Mackenzie King Bridge, that's part of the plan for the Albert Street redesign was just the way that Albert and Slater Streets would change with when line 1 opened, that just we'd see a reduced volume of buses along there. But these are all, maybe I'll be able to get some better questions. Again, transit priority isn't something that I typically focus on in my department. So it's another one I can bring back and maybe get some better answers for you.
Okay, merci, William. Meloche. Oh, hold on, now my thing moved. So will there be efforts to amend routes that cover the same streets and roads to provide more frequent coverage? The 12 and the 15 often seem to arrive at stops within minutes of each other. I've had this happen, and are often 20 to 30 minutes and sometimes more between each bus clump. I love that term. I'm eager to use the bus route update, but I'm concerned when the city has also used it to cut overall service. OC Transpo already suffers from frequency and reliability issues. Also support the cooperation with other municipal transportation bodies to implement things like bus-only lanes, light priority, etc., to improve public transit quality. Thank you so much, William. Great points. Vas-y, go ahead, OC Transpo.
So the 12 and the 15, because they operate along that, the very similar corridor, they are scheduled on paper to be offset from one another. So when they're both operating at 15-minute frequencies, we will schedule them to largely slot sort of between another. So between the two routes, you should be getting 7-8 minute frequency. That sometimes it's more like a 10-5, just depending on other factors. That might limit that. And we see this in other, like the 6 and the 7 along Bank, we try to do that too. So the issue that you see there is that even on paper, they're scheduled to come in, in between, sort of slot between one another and provide that additional frequency. But reliability, sometimes if one trip is running behind, then you start to see that kind of bunching. So that's where adding this additional runtime and setting where those sort of delays are should help to alleviate some of that and see some improved reliability. So you get more of that nice sort of even frequency, or when they're both running at half hour, that you see a bus then coming every 15 minutes instead. So hopefully with this new network and the schedule improvements that we're doing, we see improvements there between the 12 and the 15 schedules.
Perfect. Hold on, I'm gonna get, okay. New Ways to Bus at Ottawa.ca has not responded to many clarification requests. Is there a better way to get easy answers on where specific routes are at in the planning process?
Louise, I don't know if that's one that you might be able to answer.
Yeah, let me just review that question again, because there was I have a feeling right now that the New Ways to Bus email is a no reply email at this point. Let me clarify. I will find out the information on that. The best way to do it is to go through the regular contact information, customer service, filling out the feedback, etc. Staff do get to those really quickly. So you should get a response. If you have any questions though, and you want to put them in the chat for me, I will take them back, get customer service to respond to you immediately. Okay.
Perfect, thank you. Peter, we've sort of talked about this already, but go ahead. It says that since the 15 will no longer go to get to know, can transfers be issued for getting on STO like they used to, or can STO be modified to use Presto?
Yeah, so I think we answered it already.
Yeah.
I mean, it was my understanding that transfers were still being issued for STO. Because we do have integrated fare. If you pay an OC Transpo fare, you can get on an STO bus, and vice versa. If you pay an STO fare, then once you get over to OC Transpo, you can get on our bus. So it was my understanding that that was still being done. But if this customer is told no, that's not the case, I'll bring it back and just see then what the new sort of direction is that customers should do, because we do accommodate that transfer. We do, our networks are integrated, and we understand that that there are many riders who use both systems. So if it's not a transfer being issued, then there's some kind of solution in place, and I'll clarify that. Perfect,
thank you. Charlotte, it says, is a question about elimination of Route 16. Can I ask in person? Yes, Charlotte, go ahead. I'll unmute yourself, or maybe someone else has to do it, but go ahead.
Oops. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, Charlotte.
Hello. Hi. Thank you. Sorry, multitasking. Thank you for doing this, and to OC Transpo as well for giving all the information. My question, I typed it in afterwards, but I can say it. I'm wondering if anything is being done to improve transportation between Old Ottawa East and Sandy Hill. I noted the cancellation of Route 16, and this worries me. because it's the students. And again, the students are really big riders in Standy Hill. A lot of them graduate from Viscount Alexander and go to Immaculata. And we've already got this challenge with the Greenfield Avenue Main Street construction. And now Route 16, which was one of the few direct ones my son could take to school, is being canceled. So I'm wondering, is there any good news about the links between Sandy Hill and Immaculata High School in Old Ottawa East?
Well, the 10 will follow that same pattern. So just the 16 trip that your son takes today it'll just be, now he looks for a Route 10 number on the bus stop sign.
Okay. And 10 is when we have it. I'll look at the map more closely. I'm hoping it exactly will mirror it being in front of the school and not being quite a walk away from the school. But
yeah, it's
Charlotte,
like if it's exactly the same replacement.
super. Thank you.
Charlotte, sorry to bother you before you go. Were you, and you'll have to refresh my memory, were you in the discussions with us about the other parents who they go to Gloucester or they go to, were you in that group?
I was not in that discussion. My son graduated from Viscount last year and moved to Immaculata, and I'm kind of in various parent groups, but I haven't been in this one that you're talking about. So
Okay, can you just maybe send me a quick, just email like parent busing, whatever, because we do have some other parents that are working on the high school situation. We have one, as you know, Francophone high school here in Ward 12, and obviously a lot of children have to leave Ward 12 if they don't attend that school. So we are trying to work on better busing options for them so we can hook them into the public transit system early. So please reach out, because I'll probably do something a bit separate with them because it is very specific to their schools.
okay, will do. Thank you.
Merci. Okay, Monique, away, Monique. It says, is it possible to get route schedules like the folding ones we had in the past? Contrary to popular belief, not everyone has a smartphone.
I can answer that one, I believe. I believe that we're going to be doing some of the threefold flyers, but it's difficult to put them in a lot of places. That's a difficult one because we have moved from a lot of printed materials to everything being online now.
Yeah.
That's a tough one, but I can find out more information about that and see if we can do. I know there's some like various organizations, for instance, that we do like a package of information, like a community center and things like that, where they have the printed materials. So I'll find out more information on you and see if there's any other way that you could get that information. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. And also I have office hours every 2 weeks. They're quite well attended. So I'm happy to, any physical materials you have or swag, even swag, I can take it with me, and I know it will get distributed. So
okay, thanks.
Yeah. More of a comment than a question, but in response to the point about making space for cars, our city already has so much space allotted to cars than it does to bikes and transit. It would be really useful to work on improving this, removing parking, a car lane. People are used to cars being a priority. Mindset needs to shift in Ottawa. Hallelujah. I agree. Any comment from OC Transpo on that one?
I guess I'll say, OC Transpo does advocate when we have these a road redesign and there's opportunity. We do always work with our traffic group to see what priority measures can be put in place. So those conversations are always going. There is always, often when a corridor is redesigned, some additional space is given to OC Transpo. It's just to what extent can that be accommodated? Right. And it comes down to budget. Is this the corridor where we want to put the budget in to develop bus lanes, or is it better spent somewhere else? So, I don't want to say that OC Transpo always loses out to traffic. That's not the case. We do have, a number of wins in different areas around the city. But we just don't always get to see those full bus lanes that a number of our users would like and that we would like to see as well. But we do have those kind of incremental wins that we get, to improve an intersection here or there.
Yes, and if ever anonymous, you want to have a chat about the school street, for Tri-des-Bois, I'm happy to chat with you about other efforts we're doing to get cars off the road. I think everybody in traffic cringes when they see an email from me because I'm very happy to close a street or pedestrianize a space. I'm slightly obsessed with it. Okay, Peter Stockdale, it works if you have a regular pass. Okay, Peter Stockdale, today. Not sure what that was in reference to, but we'll move on to the Monique, if you transfer from OC to STO, you can tap your Presto card on STO. You cannot use your Presto on STO to come to Ottawa. You have to pay cash and get a transfer. Thank you. We appreciate that. I think it's been that way for a while, from what I remember. Arto, how is Route 55 that presently serves the Ottawa Hospital General Campus and CHIO affected? The route connects Sandy Hill with hospital campuses. Great question.
So Route 55, I don't have it on my map here. Route 55 is being replaced by an extension on the 85. So the 85, today it goes, 85 today goes over to Gatineau. Instead it won't, it'll come across and it'll replace that stretch of the 55.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Jacques, so no OC Transpo on the Gatineau side anymore. Confirm, please.
So there will still be OC Transpo from Tunney's pasture going over to the Gatineau side, not from Lyon anymore.
Thank you. Stephen Smith, to follow up on the Gatineau question, are we expecting that people will either buy a Gatineau multipass or go via Pimisi if we have to start our trips in Gatineau on the 15th? Other riders were complaining that the new detour via Pimisi is not realizing they can get a multipass. Can we communicate what commuters on the 15 are expected to do when the bus ends? I think the multipass option is much less onerous and a big detour, and then a big detour and use of LRT.
So I don't know if some of this sort of speaks to that multipass option. I don't know if some of that speaks to the transferring between the two services. I will say, so the 15, like if you're transferring on the 15 today, or I guess going over to Gatineau on the 15 today, you're likely better in the future to use Route 12 and get off at Lyon and transfer to STO service there. And then thank you to the customer that clarified how that transferring works between OC Transpo and STO. I don't know if that sort of gets at the question or not.
All right. Well, we'll see. They can always repose the question. So, okay.
Yeah.
And
can I just go back and correct myself? What's replacing the 55 to the hospitals? It's the 85 is replacing a portion of the 55. The portion that goes to the hospitals is being replaced by Route 5. So Route 5 will be extended from Route 5 connects into Rideau along the Elgin corridor, and it'll continue down Main Street and then come over along Smythe and service the hospitals and connect into Elmville Station at St. Laurent.
Okay. Monique, I do not see any changes to Route 14, so I may assume that status quo on Route 14.
Status quo on Route 14, correct.
Okay. Thank you, but how will this information be implemented into applications like Bus Buddy and Transit? Huge numbers of OC Transpo users use these applications to plot and plan their trips, myself included.
So once the schedules are finalized, OC Transpo makes them public, and this is something we do. It's our regular process. I think it's about 2 weeks or so normally before the schedules go live that we make them available to the public. Anyone can grab them, and that's how Bus Buddy and Transit and like Google Maps gets all of our schedule information to feed into their apps.
Okay. Dominique, it said, will I be able to unmute to make a small comment? Yes, Dominique, of course. Go ahead. Is he still there? Dominique? Okay, we'll go to the next one and you can hop on later if you're still here.
there.
William,
Sorry, I was just delayed a little bit.
go ahead.
Just sort of echoing what the other person said, and I just really want to drive that home. And on my comment about the bus lanes on Rideau, like Rideau's so wide, I feel like it could, I mean, really it could even include bike lanes just because the lanes are so wide. But I mean, with what the city is building along Rideau, thousands of more people are going to be along there and in the area, and those people will inevitably become car drivers if they don't have a frequent and reliable mode of transportation along there. And that's just gonna make it even busier. So while I understand that there's like a lot of competing interests with car drivers, there's been this constant narrative of the city wanting to transfer a lot of those car trips into other modes of transportation. And I feel like this is one of the easiest ways of doing it. It's one of the cheapest things to do to just make sure that service is frequent and reliable. And I feel like losing some car parking spots is okay because there's often a parking spot less than 5 minutes away.
Right.
So I feel like there's no real question, just sort of a comment. I feel like there's often a narrative and a similar narrative of we're taking away something, but really we're adding something because it's good for car drivers, it's good for everyone in the area.
I agree. Thank you, Dominique. William, oh, sorry, did you want to answer? Sorry. Or do you guys just want to go to the next question? Okay, we'll just go.
Yeah, I guess it's for removing parking. You know, that's something that again has to be looked at a city with various departments of city staff and with council as well. So, you know, the more support there is to remove parking even for some certain time periods. I mean, we did not too well, maybe it's more years ago now than I think we extended the time frame where parking was removed just to improve transit operations. So Councillor, like if those conversations want to open back up, we're happy to have that chat.
No problem. For sure. Okay, so William, I'm curious about Route 7. Shout out to Route 7. It's been a staple of mine for a long time. It passes through several bottlenecks on Bank Rideau and Beechwood before reaching Saint Laurent. It is the sole bus available on Saint Laurent until MacArthur and is very unreliable as a primary link to LRT. Go ahead, guys.
So again, a lot of effort is going into reviewing where routes are unreliable and additional runtime needs to go into. So that's being looked at. You know, the 7 is one of those that, as you mentioned, it does run into a number of bottlenecks. So it is always being looked at, and we are hopefully going to see some improvements in terms of reliability of service with this and adding runtime where it is needed. So at least, you know, if the trip says you're going to arrive somewhere at 8:30, you're actually arriving there at 8:30.
Okay. Sarah, oh, 1 second, I can move this up. New Transit app is actually really good. I use it all the time to see bus GPS locations and how full it is. This app needs to be communicated more to everyone. This is probably where you would advertise the new route changes to and not use the Bus Buddy app. Go ahead.
See, I'm not sure if OC Transpo promotes one app over another. We have our own travel planner and our own sort of real-time information. Whether we promote any secondary ones, I'm not sure. I guess it's just a conversation to see if we would be interested in promoting, you know, one app over another.
Well, I'll let you. I only use Bus Buddy, full disclosure, but okay. Thank you, Sarah. Anonymous. On the Rideau bus lanes, I make them bus only, no bikes. When I bike, I don't feel safe in the bus lane. And as a bus driver, nothing says you're a second-class citizen like traveling as fast as the bike in front of you. Yes, as many of you know, I fractured my wrist this summer getting hit by a car when I was on my bike. You know, we have to make room for buses and bikes and people who are walking, especially in the core, but that is my rant for today. Okay, anonymous again, comment only. Increased service reliability and frequency needs to come first to increase ridership. OC Transpo staff seem quite concerned about keeping car drivers happy by maintaining parking and car lanes, which is a bit disappointing. I know a lot of people who drive downtown who want to take the bus, but can't until frequency increases and service is reliable. If we have good service, people will take the bus and won't care that there are fewer car lanes. Plan for what we want. Thank you so much. Yes, I agree. Yeah, I mean, I'm not shy to say I think we are very special here in the downtown core and we need a service that reflects that. Dave Williams, appreciate the answer, not Ward 12 related, but I will follow up with regular. Oh, you're just thanking. Thank you, David. I appreciate it. My next comment are OC and STO. Yep. Jacques, STO is another city, another province. C'est exactement ça. You could use your Toronto. Yes, I have used my Presto card in Toronto. Will the client service desk open again at Saint Laurent?
I don't, sorry, Louise, you unmuted. Did you have an answer for that?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, and that was just gonna be my response too.
Yeah.
Is there a reason, or it's just in the cards?
I believe since COVID, resources, keeping it at Rideau, and the fact that there's so many more ways now online through apps, etc., to get things like that, getting on the bus, etc. You know, you can tap your card now, your credit card, your debit card. There's lots more ways available. So staffing at locations like that, it's very difficult budget-wise and resource-wise. So at this point, I don't believe Saint Laurent is. Rideau definitely is open.
All right, and just tell everybody where you're located in the Rideau Center.
Oh, that's a good one. I'm trying to think how to give directions.
It's on the third floor, right?
The third floor, just by the elevators. Yeah.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
So get yourself a Starbucks, go up the elevators, and you'll be at the OC Transpo kiosk.
Yeah.
I'm frustrated that there's no direct route anymore from our district to Hull. The 15 stopping at Parliament and requiring a transfer to STO is just one more barrier to encouraging students from taking the bus to Saint Joseph or public service going to work at Place du Portage.
And that's feedback I can take back. I mean, part of it is the STO offers very frequent service across the bridge. So it was one area where we could make that change and know that high level of service from STO is still being provided. Otherwise, I can just take it back, and that's, you know, if we hear a lot about customers being unhappy about that change, and that's something that we can revisit in the future.
Okay. Seymour, how's it going, Seymour? He lives in Sandy Hill. Route 16 is being canceled. It is a very valuable service for both students and seniors who live in Sandy Hill, east-south, which will be more difficult challenge for older residents who don't have the capacity to chase buses on other lines. Route 16 has been stable for development and intensification of Sandy Hill. Abolishing it will not be to the advantage of neighborhood users. Route 16 should be reinstated for the sake of East Ottawa through Sandy Hill downtown and then West Borough.
And it's not, then you won't see the number 16 anymore, but that Route 10 extension will replace the same, you know, route that the 16 travels to and bring customers into the downtown. If you are looking to continue sort of past the Bronson corridor, which is where Route 10 turns and goes south, then you would need to transfer on to like if you want to ride the full Route 16 alignment, you'd have to transfer to Route 12. But otherwise, it's just, you know, the 10 will get you along the same streets that the 16 does today. The 10 will get you from Sandy Hill into downtown, or south down to St. Paul. So many customers won't see a change depending on how they're using the 16 today. Other customers might see a transfer introduced if they were riding that full length of the 16.
Merci. Jacques, oh, no, sorry. François, oh no, Jacques, hold on. I think it's moved. How many parkings do you have at Saint Laurent Shopping Center? Example, I'll park there to wait for my husband coming from downtown core office. It's really hard to pick up at someone at a different station.
I don't believe we have any, as far as I know, designated parking spots at Saint Laurent. It's you know, you would just be using the mall parking.
Right. Okay. What consideration is given by OC Transpo to the impact of buses on road structures and surrounding buildings in the design of new bus routes? I live in Sandy Hill on Laurier Avenue East, where bus 19 runs, and all along the Laurier Avenue between King Edward and Charlotte, we can feel the bus roll down the street when it comes. My house shakes when the bus passes. My neighbors feel the shaking in their homes too. For one, it's quite disconcerting to be shaken and shimmied like this all the time. But also, perhaps more seriously, this can have a deleterious impact on the structures along the route, the houses, apartment blocks, and buildings where businesses operate. Many buildings on Laurier are heritage. So what consideration is given to the impact of buses on road structures and surrounding buildings in the design of new bus routes?
We have worked with various departments at the city. If we get a complaint similar to this or comment similar to this, we'll work to see you know, what that impact is, and that is something that can be measured. So we have done that in the past, and perhaps this is one where we can get some more information on just in terms of where exactly you live, Francois, and we can take it back and get back to you. Just to have a look at it. And, you know, if it is a big concern, there are some things we can measure to see if the buses are having, what kind of impact that they are having. You know, in some neighborhoods where we've heard some concerns, will not necessarily about shaking houses, but other concerns will, you know, limit after a certain time, instead of using the longer 60-foot articulated buses, we'll use a 40-foot bus, that type of thing. So there are some things we can look at if we can get some additional information here.
Perfect. Okay, anonymous participant. I have seen OC Transpo promote transit app. They have purchased full subscription for everyone. Oh, is that true?
Not the sorry, Louise, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna honestly, I'm not sure. Purchased full subscription for everyone. I'm not sure. We'd have to look into that, Louise, unless you know more.
I believe we have promoted the transit app. I'll find out about the subscription though. I know we've advertised it. So
Okay.
I'll get back to the councillor on that.
Thank you. Nick, could I make a quick comment about the Rideau Street bus lane? Knock yourself out, Nick. Go ahead.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, so I'm really happy to see how many people are bringing up bus lanes. That's awesome. And
Yeah.
I think design is really important when we talk about it, because I think anyone who goes on Rideau Street knows that we have a bus lane there, and it's peak hours. But I think because of the design of it, it's very hard to find it without kind of cars parked in it or driving in it. There's a lot of violations of it. And I think it's partly the design, you know, if it's kind of overhead signage is what we're relying on, it might be confusing to drivers to know the rules. I think on some of the, you know, more commuter roads, it's habit, you know, okay, every day this is the rules of the road, it's straightforward. But on a mixed traffic area like Rideau, not so much. There was some really good data that came out of San Francisco. They found hundreds fewer traffic violations on a road that was just painted red bus lane versus like white diamonds. And I think it's just that basic psychology. it's like, oh, red paint, that's not my lane, I won't drive in it, that's for buses. Versus when
Right.
it's a bit more subtle, it's not as clear. And then there's other data which suggests that when a bus has its own lane, it can carry thousands more people every hour than like car traffic can. And so if we're worried about business taking away parking, you're gonna probably get a lot more patrons with the bus and the bus lane than the parking, which can't always carry that many people. Yeah, I'll just echo the general sentiment that if a route has low ridership, it's because there's a problem with it. Don't cut service to it, please. It means you have to fix the problem. So I know that we hear that thinking a lot. You know, oh, the 19, it's not great ridership, will reduce frequency. The opposite. We got to invest in the service we want to see, and I'm echoing other people who've said that. So I appreciate everyone here. Thanks.
Thank you, Nick. I agree.
And I'll just, I guess just to clarify, there's been a lot of discussion about bus lanes. Of course, OC Transpo would love bus lanes. Unfortunately, we're not the ones who make that final decision. It's, you know, our transportation services department, they're the lead on the road design. And then for things like taking away parking to provide more bus lanes, again, that's something that's not OC Transpo's decision to make. We would have to work with the various city departments and councillors to implement that. So yes, OC Transpo would love additional bus lanes. Unfortunately, it's often out of our hands, and we do always push for that where we can and when we can, and it's just, you know, what is decided at looking across transportation across the city, what actually gets put into place. But like Councillor Plan, if you are open to removing on-street parking, we'd love to have that conversation and see where that goes.
Yes. Yes, let's go. Yes.
Great. So
absolutely.
we will take that offline after this.
Yeah, absolutely. No questions asked. For sure. And you know, if ever you guys want to pilot anything in my area, I was just kind of looking at the lines as you guys were talking, because you know, that they talk about that famous number 12 and how it services. I'm kind of sandwiched between two other wards that also use it. If ever you want to pilot anything, I'm happy to talk to councillors Troster and King as well about doing something. You know, I'm a firm believer that our transit system doesn't operate in a vacuum. So you know, anything I can do to help, please reach out. Now, I'm not on transit committee, but you know, anything I can do to help, please do reach out. Okay. Will Seymour, what's up, Seymour? It says, will the 10 get us from Sandy Hill and then back to Sandy Hill?
Yeah, so depending on where you're traveling to, the 10 will operate from where the Route 16 used to end at St. Paul University, so Main Street corridor, and then travel along Lees into Sandy Hill, Somerset, across the Mackenzie King Bridge, you know, over to Queen Street. So that it's all replication of what the Route 16 does today until you get to the Bronson corridor. Route 10 then turns and goes south along Bronson from downtown. So it's just if you're looking to continue west, where you would need to transfer from the 16, and then the Route 12 would just sort of get you there. If you're, say, going to Times Pasture, the Route 12 would get you there. You know, there's some, I guess, yeah, Route 12 or Line 1, depending on where you wanted to transfer from.
Perfect. Okay, sorry. Okay. Monique, I'm going to put these two together. It says not related to tonight's subject, but wanted to say, unfortunately, the Rideau, Saint Laurent, and Blair train stations are absolutely filthy, especially on the escalators. Does anyone ever clean there? I get this question a lot, especially about Rideau. And then it says, for info, there are no park and ride parking spots. Oh, park and ride parking spots at Saint Laurent nor Blair. Okay, good to know.
Blair has a very small park and ride. It's very small. I imagine that it's all sold out. There is a very small Oh, park and ride. No, sorry, no. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So parking there. Yeah, Blair has a very small parking lot. You have to subscribe to it. It's not, you can't just show up and expect a spot. You would have to get like a pass. That's what I'm looking for.
Okay. Sarah says, yes, subscription is free if using OC Transpo on transit app. Thank you for clarifying. CY, not district, I think she means, or they mean ward related, but would OC Transpo and City Council considering a different model of funding, as Gatineau is with its transportation surcharge of $90 for license plate renewal to avoid, quote, death spiral for public transportation in Ottawa? I don't want to answer this on behalf of OC Transpo, but your license plate renewal is a provincial service. I'm happy to discuss this with you with our provincial MPP. Did OC Transpo want to weigh in?
I'll just add, so some sort of creative, going through the budget process, there was a look at how we can increase funding from other sources. So there have been some things that have been put into place that continues to be looked at. For a provincial aspect, we get money from the gas tax. So some money from gas taxes go into funding transit. Again, that's a provincial measure, but we have looked at some different means of funding.
Great. But yes, if you want to have a chat about this further, I'm happy to bring it up. And thank you for the NPR link. I really like NPR. Okay, so I think this is all we have. Just going to double check. This is all we have for questions. Est-ce que OC Transpo, vous voulez le dernier mot ici ce soir? Did you want to have the final word?
I guess, so a common theme here, which is great to hear, was just service reliability. Are there more transit priority measures that can be put into place to help some of our roadways? That's just great feedback that I'll take back to our service reliability team to let them know that it was a really key comment that we heard. It's very important for our customers in Ward 12. So, that type of work usually it takes time, it takes budget, it takes projects to get stuff put in place, but it does get done, and we do see some improvement. So hopefully over time we get some more good news for you on that front. And thanks very much. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you so much, guys. And on my part, I will reach out to Councillors King and Troster. Or we can just do it in my area, whatever you guys think is best. About getting some sort of pilot or some sort of something off the ground with one of the routes that goes through downtown. Because I agree, we need to make service reliable and the cars need to get out of the way. So
no, it's great. Like if you do want to reach out to the other councillors, the more support behind something, the better. So I'm not against that at all. That's great. I'm really glad to hear this, and that this is a conversation that we can continue.
And just say, sorry, Councillor Plant, go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask, if I am going to start, and we could probably take this conversation offline, but if I am going to have that conversation with them, what route do you think would be the best sandwich route? I'm guessing it's the 12 or the 7. Which one would you recommend?
If we're looking at something like where paint might have a big impact, like the 12, we do have those priority lanes that are peak period only, so it's signed, between this time and this time, it's the bus lane, otherwise it's on street parking. So, that's one where it could just be signage and some paint that could make a change. But there's more that we can look into it too. But, just quick win, that's what might come to mind.
Okay, cool. So we'll definitely put a pin in that and return to it. It's my impression that even though there are supposed to be priority lanes, it's not necessarily adhered to. And people kind of think it's not really anything that they have to follow. I don't want to prejudice anyone, but that's kind of what I've observed. So yeah, but thank you so much, OC Transpo, for taking the time to be with us tonight. Thank you to everybody who showed up, asked questions, unmuted, your comments, everything you do. I know it doesn't often feel like it, but everything you do and every time you reach out, it is helpful for us to make the transit in this city better. I am hopeful about the transit in our city. I've had some positive comments in my inbox about the new ways to bus / route review. So I'm going to cross my fingers. And sorry, OC Transpo, can you just say when this route, the new routes are signed, sealed, delivered? When is that?
It's largely finalized now. The sort of the route patterns are done. There's just small little tweaks that are being made to the schedules, and the schedules are going now into our scheduling software to create all those, the vehicle, the operator, the public schedules. So it is largely signed, sealed, and delivered now, and when it hits the streets, we don't know exactly. It'll be sort of either with the opening of lines 2 and 4 or slightly afterwards.
Okay, and then on my end, I will reach out to you about the high schoolers, and I will also reach out to my fellow counselors about some sort of pilot for priority lanes. So thank you so much. Merci tout le monde. N'oublie pas que... oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I just had a couple of things I just wanted to say. Number one, for the residents who have questions that haven't been answered that we need to respond back to, how would you like us to do that? Should we send those answers through Karina? Yes. Okay,
Correct. We'll
perfect.
put them in the newsletter. Yeah.
Okay. And then the second thing is, I just want to once again promote that community bus. Councillor Plant, you will be receiving information. We'll be getting out information, flyers, social media, etc., for you to really blitz it. And we look forward to seeing your residents at some of those events as well. So thank you.
Put it in the priority lane. There you go. OK, ben merci tout le monde. Je vous souhaite une bonne soirée et on se reparle très bientôt. Et n'oublie pas, on a le recording et puis on va mettre ça aussi sur mon site web ou YouTube, je sais pas exactement. Mais si vous avez des commentaires, vous pouvez toujours communiquer avec moi. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a fantastic evening and get on the bus. OK, ciao. Bonne soirée.
Bye.